Ha, yes. That is music to our ears, both figuratively and literally. Welcome in, everybody. It is time for Three Guys Before the Game. Thanks so very much for being with us. It's time to preview a couple of big ball games at the Coliseum. Baylor Bears and the Mountaineers, Saturday evening, 6 o'clock. And before that, WVU women in a showdown with the Sooners of Oklahoma. That's a 1 o'clock game coming up at the Coliseum. Why is it a showdown? Oklahoma is in first place, and West Virginia, you're right there, tied for second, third right now, sharing it. 3 league losses. Here we go, man. Going to be good. Thanks so very much for being with us. Textual Healing is also coming up. Man, did we get a lot of reaction to the first ever 3 guys suspension that I levied. I mean, people came from all angles on that deal.
It's under appeal.
We'll explain exactly, in case you missed the last episode, what happened there, but interesting. We'll get into it. 3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. Unbelievable group down there. Based in Charleston, but they're like an octopus that has tentacles in all 55 counties. Like the main body is Charleston, but then like they're all over 55 counties in our state and beyond. 3 Guys brought to us by GoMart. Go for good times. Go for GoMart. Might see Hoppy Kirchhoff there. You might. We certainly haven't seen him here. He might be at a GoMart. Just hold up. Down that aisle, it's got all the good stuff in it. Get that rewards card. Hoppy has one. That means he saves and collects rewards points and saves on his fuel and his food every time he goes there. 3 Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. Coming in this morning, you could smell spring. Making an early call on it, you could smell spring.
You're making a call early?
Smell it. It's coming. Pontoon season fast approaching, and Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans happens to be the premier, single number 1 best dealer of pontoon boats in our state of West Virginia. Been doing it, working toward 50 years now. Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans at LouWendellMarineSales.com. And 3 Guys, Spreads on Stats brought to us by the Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond the numbers. What are the numbers on West Virginia Baylor? That's coming up. Our producer is Austin Wright. We made him come in a little early. It was awfully nice of him.
It was nice.
Couldn't do yesterday. Just scheduling issues. I was over at, we were doing a video project over at WVU Children's Hospital. You know, we often forget the level of care and the level of complexity of the procedures that they're able to do over there. It makes you just go like, whoa. Like world-class stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like world-class stuff. We were dealing with a cardiology heart thing, and I was talking to one of the main docs there, and they said he recently went to a conference, and he says, people at these institutions like that you would consider to be the best in the United States are asking West Virginia about, okay, you guys are doing this, how are you doing this? So they're like at that elite. So anyway, that worked out. Hell of a story. We'll have that out in a video form coming up in the next month-ish so, but that was a really heck of a story. Anyway, thanks for being with us. It's time for the Baylor preview. Baseball season opens as well. Actually, we're recording Friday morning, and season opens today. First of 4, West Virginia against the Hatters of Stetson.
Yes.
This is always an interesting time of the year because you just don't know, right? You're getting ready. But Randy Mazey, we had him on our sports line this week, and he said this was the most preseason outdoor practice they've ever had. He said, like, they didn't even go inside, right?
Like twice, maybe?
Twice?
Yeah.
Twice?
Something like that, yeah. They've been outside a bunch, including a night scrimmage here a couple
Last
weeks.
Friday, he said.
Yeah. What are you drinking there? You got a game day grind?
Yeah. Game day grind.
Hold on. What are you drinking out of? Did you take a candle out of there and put your coffee in that?
No, man, that's my
What is that? I've never seen that. That's not even a mason jar.
Well, it's a baby mason jar. It's a junior varsity mason jar. It's a jam jar.
Seriously, it's like those little ones you put a candle in.
It's a jelly jar. You put jelly in this.
You can't just do a cup like everybody else?
This is how I drink my coffee in the morning.
You drink it like that every day?
Yeah, at home.
Out of the candle holder?
Yeah. Well, it's not a candle holder. It's a jam jar. I like it because there's a lot of glass to it. It blows the heat out quicker, and it gets you back to the original flavor. And
there's a lot of things going on where your lip goes, though. There's a lot of ridges there.
Well, that's good. It's security. You can lock in. Loose lips sink ships. Look at the, if you could, that is a beautiful hue of coffee. It's not that dark chocolate brown. Game Day Grind is a light roast, and it is selling it off. Literally, can't keep it on the shelves.
It's so good you can put it on top of candle wax, and it's still good, apparently.
It's really tasty. You blow the heat out, and then it really gets to that taste. Rusty did a great job.
First I've seen something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's why I drink it.
I mean, I've seen the big mason jars.
I have this, and then there's the same circumference, only this tall. It's a taller one. People in the canning industry will know what I'm talking about, but I got the taller one of those too.
Okay. Now you sidetracked me with your weird candle holder there. What was I talking about?
Baseball.
Yeah. Well, speaking of baseball, another Mountaineer baseball note. Major League Baseball reported yesterday. Catchers and pitchers reported to spring training.
Yeah.
Alek Manoah looks good, man. He hopped on the mound for his first throwing session.
Right.
He was popping it. Looks good. He's ready for a big bounce back season.
Where last year you already knew at this time when he went out there, they're going like, Manoah's velocity's down.
Yeah, something was up.
So now he's bringing it. Just like Randy said, he does this.
Yeah, he looked good. And again, he's great. You can go find some of his quotes. He's just so blunt and honest. And he said, got my ass kicked last year. I'm back. I'm ready for a bounce back. Paraphrasing. But so it's fun to see him. That was one note. Speaking of former Mountaineer stars, do you see Joe Mazzulla's numbers here as the NBA takes its All-Star break? Fastest to 100, fourth fastest to 100 wins, and holds the best winning percentage in NBA history right now.
Isn't that fantastic?
Ahead of Phil Jackson.
Isn't that fantastic?
Phil coached a few more games, I realize.
Yeah.
But Joe's number one in winning percentage right now.
Awesome.
Pretty good for those two.
And so much pressure that they've got to win this spring.
He's got, best record in the NBA right now. So he's clearly the prohibitive favorite in the East. But there is a lot of pressure sitting on him. But there has been since he took over. That's the double-edged sword of that. The good is he walked into a really good team. The challenge is he walked into a really good team with a lot of pressure. The question for them is going to be, as you get into the playoffs, can Kristaps Porzingis be healthy and stay healthy?
He's been in and out.
Because that's an all-time NBA lineup. You look at some of their metrics. They have the best five-man rotation efficiency-wise of any lineup in NBA history when he plays. But he's just dinged up a lot. Dude's 7'4". Tend to get injured a lot. So keep an eye on that in the second half.
So, yeah.
But one last
note. What's he have to do? He absolutely has to get to the finals. And, if you lose in the finals, it probably has to be in the seventh game on the last second shot. Yeah. Otherwise, they're going to go bad year.
Yeah, getting to the finals would be big. It'd be nice if they could just win the dang thing. But how about, just for 1 second, let's talk Mountaineers in the NBA. And just stay in the Eastern Conference for a minute. So there's Mazzulla. Mike Gansey and the Cavs, are they having a first half? How about Deuce with the Knicks? The Knicks are really good too. Those are probably the three best teams in the East because Milwaukee's absolutely imploding.
Right.
So if you're not into the NBA but you'd like to watch a little bit of NBA, you got a lot of Mountaineer influence, especially in the Eastern Conference this year.
Yeah, that's great. Absolutely great. All right, so we got that. Kovic and the golfers, by the way, down in Gainesville.
Yes.
The University of Florida has a tournament. Florida's the defending national champion. West Virginia, in its first outing of the spring, they're in Tucson, Arizona. You ever notice golf, those dudes, they don't have to make what we would consider some questionable road trips. It's not hey, they opened up the season and they were at Olean, New York, playing at the St. Bonnie 9. They go Tucson,
they find warm weather,
Hawaii,
yeah,
right, Madagascar. They're at Gainesville this week.
So it was nice.
Anyway, they had their second lowest total.
Mm-hmm.
Was a 54 hole in school history in Tucson. So,
also have the best gear of any team. They do a nice job.
Yeah.
So they were the
Maybe
first.
someone should tell Sean that we're recipients. We'll wear gear.
He apparently doesn't. I've complimented him on the gear 19 straight years. Can't get any.
Tight.
Yeah, tight with the gear.
All right. Where you want to start off with?
Let's do Baylor first. Then we'll go to the massive Oklahoma-West Virginia women's game.
So we'll start off, since Hoppy isn't here, with Hoppy's obvious observations. I'll give you Tony's obvious observations. Okay. I mean, the fact that they have 6 players averaging double figures, I haven't seen that this year, nor can I recall seeing it. I mean, sure, I'm sure we've played teams in the past that have had it, but it's a rarity. It's as rare as Kercheval being on this program. That's how rare you see 6 guys that are averaging double figures, but they do. And their leading dude is the guy that comes off the bench because they're all clumped together in point totals. But anyway, that was my one thing that when you say, okay, who do you have to stop? Well, who do you have to stop? You got to stop them all. Langston Love missed the last game. He's got an eye injury. Don't know if he'll be good to go or not for tomorrow, but he's one of those guys. He's averaging 13 points. But they go 13, 12, 12, 12, 11, 11. Holy heck. That's a handful to guard, huh?
Well, and one of those guys is another freshman potential lottery pick in Jacoby Walker. He's outstanding. You'll get an up-close look at him. Jalen Bridges is having a great year, leads them in the Ken Palm offensive rating, has the best offensive rating of anybody on that team. So, yeah, you've hit it. And by the way, Jalen hitting 43% from 3, which is a theme for this Baylor team. Lead the country in three-point percentage. Lead the country in three-point percentage.
Great.
That's what you're going to notice first is their offense is just elite. And that's nothing new for them. It's been elite for a long time. But start with those three-pointers. Number 1 nationally in field goal percentage from 3. There's 5 3-point zones. When I look at those heat maps of where teams shoot from, you know how we get our zones?
2 corners, 2 wings, and the top of the three-point circle?
That'd be the 5.
Yeah.
Baylor shoots better than 41% from 4 of those 5 zones.
Wow.
Believe it or not, the only one they don't is straight up. They really tail off on that straight up top of the key, 37% from there. So they shoot it. No wonder they're number 1 in the country.
Do you want to play the music?
Oh, I was excited to dive right in.
You just kind of jumped right into that thing. Let's do this instead.
So I checked the numbers.
This is a segment.
Just go right to the numbers.
A sponsor segment. I mean, you just can't run into the thing, right?
The analytics portion of the show.
All good in life with patience.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Spreads on Stats is brought to us by the wonderful folks at the Conley CPA Group. Based in Fairmont, but man, they are all over the state of West Virginia, from Weirton to Welch, Martinsburg to Matewan, and all points in between. Plus, they spill over into other states. What do?
Are they like that octopus that you mentioned?
Exactly.
We were talking about an octopus.
They're the tax octopuses. There's tentacles all over. Conley CPA Group does provide value beyond the numbers. If you're a business owner in need of accounting, tax help, and more, counseling and guidance, what's the best way to operate? They got you. It's the Conley CPA Group, doing it since 1985. A wonderful group of folks who we had lunch with.
Wonderful lunch.
We lunched with them, and Mike and the crew, fantastic. And even though it's tax season, they're still nice. Some people get stressed out. Yeah, what do you want? No, you just call them now. They go, yeah, what do you want? How are you? They're good. Spreads on Stats, Conley CPA.
So that's the tagline. Even though it's tax season, they're nice.
Yeah, because they take stress away from people. They de-stress you. I mean, if you need accounting done for your business, they can do that remotely. If you need a CFO, all hands on deck, right? Chief Financial Officer, they can remote in and do that as well. Technology.
You know, episode800.com has a bunch of different T-shirts. You're wearing one of them right now. Very nice efforting, very popular. Right? Thanks for having us. Shirt is on there.
Yes.
Conley CPA Group should probably do that for their folks here during tax season. Do a T-shirt that just says, even though it's tax season, we're nice.
You could do that. Or you could they should buy a bunch of efforting ones. People go like, hey, how are my taxes coming? We done yet? We done yet? You just go like, efforting.
That would be good.
Conley CPA, we're efforting. Getting them done.
Okay, now can I go?
Yeah, well, you kind of jumped the gun on that.
I'm heavily caffeinated. I had a lot of game day grind. You told me to get up early. I'm ready to go.
If you were an Olympic swimmer right now, false start. Here, get out of the water. They eliminate you in that, don't they? If you jump in the water first, you're done.
Well, you only get one false start?
I think that's true.
That seems overly punitive.
I'll check that. You go ahead.
Train 4 years for your one. You get 12 seconds in the pool. You false start once, you're out.
That's why they came up with that statement. Hold your water. That's exactly where that came from, probably.
I don't think that's where it came from.
All right.
That's definitely unconfirmed.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, back to Baylor. Number 1 nationally, 3-point field goal percentage. Have I said that?
Yeah.
Have I said they can shoot the 3?
Mm-hmm.
Got to
So
go to the
there's
3-point
5
line.
zones. They don't shoot it from straightaway really well, but 41% in each of the other 4 zones.
I found this interesting. So I need your focus here. Don't spend too much time on hold your water. I need your focus here. They're 5th overall in Ken Palm's offense efficiency metric, so very good overall, not just shooting threes. They have the 11th best offense if you base that on points per possession. 11th best in the nation. 1 point, just over 1 point per possession. Here's what got me, though. So they score on 47% of their possessions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's 11th best nationally.
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia is 289th in that same category. So it's the 11th best offense points per possession against West Virginia's 289th. That's a giant, massive gap. But here's what caught me, okay? Because that's a giant gap. 11 and 289. Baylor scores on 47% of its possessions.
Crazy.
So West Virginia probably at 289 scores on about 6% of its possessions is what that should say. It's not the case. 41% of its possessions. So that's a gap of, 278 places, and it's only 6% difference in how often you're scoring.
Extremely fine line.
Really shows you the fine line there. I said 1.03 points per possession for Baylor, West Virginia 0.87. And it creates that big gap in the standings. So that shows you how thin the margin is each night when you take the floor. When you watch Baylor, the reason they're so good offensively, and we talk about this as it relates to West Virginia more than the opponent, is how are you scoring points, right? If you make shots, you're going to be in the game. Well, Baylor makes a lot of shots. What do they do if they're not making shots? Elite offensive rebounding. We've said that about 6 times in this conference. They get 18% of their points on second chance points. So almost 1 in 5 points for them come off second chance points. They don't miss often. When they do, they're an elite offensive rebounding team, 20th in the country in offensive rebounding rate. Oh, by the way, they also get to the free throw line. They're 29th in the country in free throw rate. So what makes them so difficult? They make shots. When they don't make shots, they get their offensive rebound. And when they're not making shots, you're fouling them and putting them on their line. So they're scoring from all 3 different ways they can do that. Mm-hmm. They also like to get to the rim and are very good when doing so. 70% field goal percentage on shots at the rim. Now, given what we've seen from West Virginia's defense at times, that's a concern, because you're going to heavily focus on them on the 3-point line to try and chase them off, but they also don't mind getting to the basket. So keep an eye on that. Baylor has 6 losses on the season. There's only 2 teams that have beaten them in those 6 games, have beaten Baylor while scoring less than 75 points. So chances are you're going to have to score to beat these guys. You're not going to grind them down with defense. The positives for West Virginia, here's a good one. They don't force a ton of turnovers, just 111th nationally in turnover percentage. Now, that's been a challenge for West Virginia.
That's certainly a positive number based on West Virginia yakking it. 19 and 15 on the last 2 games.
Yeah, so that was what I was just saying there. That's the challenge for West Virginia. Can they actually take advantage of a team that shouldn't force a ton? Can they cut those down? Here's what concerns you, though. They don't force a ton of them, but they convert what they do force into points. They're averaging 16 points per game off of turnovers, so you got to keep track of that. Teams also shoot it pretty well against Baylor. This isn't the same defensive team we've seen from them in the last few years. That you can shoot 65% at the rim, or teams have shot 65% at the rim, 46% in the paint. So again, if you're West Virginia, don't just settle for threes. Try and get the ball to the rim if you can. Teams have had success. Here's one for you. You want to niche it down a little bit, Tony?
Sure.
Teams have had more success being right-handed against Baylor.
Excuse me?
Right-handed. 41% from 2 outside the paint on the right side of the floor. There's a big gap between right side and left side against Baylor. So keep an eye on that. West Virginia gets right.
Well, let me ask you
makes
this.
some shots.
Let me ask you this. Where has West Virginia had success? What's West Virginia shoot from the right side of the floor? Is that a...
We'll give you that here in a minute.
You had that. This is called a pause. He took a pit stop. For those of you the camera cut away, he took a big gulp of coffee, and then he went back in. Okay, what do you got now?
Let's go into some keys here. Keys to victory. So here's the thing. The 3-point shot and Baylor's ability to make it concerns you. As we've seen before, you get hot from three. Those games could turn ugly in a hurry. But what else do you get potentially with threes, Tony?
Long rebounds?
Well, and some variance.
Yeah.
Right? If you live by the three, oftentimes you die by the
Yes, you
three.
die
So this
by
is
it,
one of
yeah.
those games where you're going to make them come into your building and try and shoot it pretty well. They're number one in the country, as I mentioned. But teams are shooting just 33% from three in the Coliseum this season. In West Virginia wins this season, the opponent is shooting just 32% from three. So watch that percentage. In Baylor wins, they shoot 45% from three. In West Virginia's wins, the opponents are at 32%. So that's a big gap. That tells you what's going to happen. Baylor away games, they're shooting just 31% from three.
Ooh, wait a second. That's a special stat right there. Hang on a second. That deserves a. Could you say it again?
Baylor away games, they're shooting just 31% from three. There's that variance.
There you go.
That's what you're watching tomorrow. Now, if they're going to miss, you better get on the boards and keep them off the offensive glass. So there's some things here. There's a path to victory, but West Virginia is going to have to do things differently than it's been doing. It has got to rebound. Because you don't want a BYU situation. That's a similar scouting report, right? BYU came in here, struggled to make three, but what'd they do? Get rebounds, kicked it out, and hit a bunch of threes on their second chance points. So you've got to be prepared for that. If you're West Virginia, you've got to defend the pick and roll. Baylor loves to use this. 20% of the time on their offensive sets, they use the pick and roll just to the ball handler. So that's what they like to do most frequently. Add in another 6% of their sets, they use the roll man. So 1 in 4 offensive possessions, they're gonna try and pick and roll you. Third nationally in points per possession when they give it to the roll man. They don't do it a lot, but when they do, you've got to be ready for that if you're West Virginia.
Talking to Josh Eilert about their defense. So for years, Scott Drew was a zone guy. And it kind of begins as a 1-1-3, where the two guards, the 1 and the 1, are in tandem. In other words, they're behind each other, and then they separate. And then he went man. When he had the personnel, he said, okay, fine, I don't need to do that. I'm going to go man. Well, this year he's playing the zone again, and the wings are big. Jalen Bridges, long, out on a wing. So how does West Virginia have success navigating through that? Where's the soft spot in that zone where you have to get the ball? So look for West Virginia to go with a 2-guard front and try to have someone enter the ball to the foul line area to Kerr Carissa. If Kerr Carissa can get the ball in the foul line area, then he can have a pretty good chance of initiating some positive offense. If you can't get that ball to the middle of that foul line area to have him start that offense, you're probably going to struggle, which means you're going to be dilly-dallying out on the wings and out on the perimeter, and it becomes a problem.
West Virginia's spots, so you asked me about right-handed versus left-handed. West Virginia from 2 hasn't necessarily been great from either right or left, but right inside the lane, right at the free throw line where you're talking about they're going to station Carissa, the right half of that, West Virginia's shooting 45% from there. So you put one of your good shooters there, and now you force Baylor to do what? They either collapse on him to get the ball out of his hands, which he kicks, but then someone's got to make shots. Look for the left side to make shots. Left wing is West Virginia's best spot around those 3 spots at the top of the key. They're shooting 38% from 3 from there, and then left corner, 41% from 3. So if you're looking where West Virginia can make shots, enter into the middle. Carissa can hit that shot right from there too. If you don't collapse on him, that should be a shot. So there's a way to attack that zone. Let's talk jump shots for a second. Baylor is one of the best teams in the country on guarded jump shots. Now, West Virginia's been leaving a ton of shooters open, but Baylor's been hitting them when they've been guarded. 36% from 3 on guarded catch and shoots. So they just make threes. Every stat you can come up with, every zone, guard on guard, they make threes, except on the road. Here's a super weird stat I stumbled upon. I don't know that it means anything. It's
super
just
weird. I like super weird.
It's weird. So every Baylor loss, 6 of them,
Yeah.
they have either had exactly 9 or 12 points on unguarded catch and shoot jumpers. Not 6, not 15, 9 or 12 in every one of those losses.
But a significantly lower number than their average.
Significantly lower, but just weird that it landed right on 9 or 12. There's no other variance on that. Again, I don't know that it means anything.
That's not weirder than West Virginia's stat in the last 2 games of shooting exactly 50% from the field in the first half and going into the locker room down by double figures. I'll take that one. I'll take that and go, you talk about weird.
Okay, now, let's do this. This is a new feature on the program.
Huh?
New feature.
You're unbelievable. I mean, you just continue to, this Conley CPA group, man, they're getting their money's worth.
So I went in and tried to dissect for both teams the biggest differences in wins and losses. I gave you a little drip there of Baylor, what it shoots away from home.
31.
Yeah, 31 from 3 away from home. Now let's look at the difference between them in wins or losses. And this probably won't surprise you, but what things do you have to look for? For Baylor, again, no surprise. We said it right at the top. It's going to be the variance on their three-point shot. 45% from 3 in wins, 31% from 3 in losses. So pretty simple. Are they making shots from 3 in particular? Turnovers for Baylor. Points off turnovers in wins, they get 17 per game on average. In losses, just 12.
Mm-hmm.
So are they missing shots, and can you protect the ball? Their own turnovers. 14% turnover rate in wins, 19% turnover rate in losses. So probably not a surprise. Do you make shots and protect the ball? That's Baylor's secret sauce. For West Virginia, biggest factors in wins or losses. Free throw attempt rate. You've heard me talk about this now for years, but every show we talk about this. West Virginia's free throw attempt rate, which is your number of free throw attempts divided by your field goal attempts. In wins, it's at a 45% rate. You get to the line a lot. In losses, it's just 33%. So can West Virginia get to the line on Baylor? It's one way they score points. Now, this next stat's really interesting. 3-point field goal percentage is a big difference in wins and losses for West Virginia. 40% from 3 in wins, 30% from 3 in losses. Okay, no surprise. Make threes, you're going to be in better shape, right? But here's what got me. The more West Virginia shoots the 3 and relies on the 3, or what have we been talking about for 3 weeks? Settling for threes, it generally doesn't end well.
Yeah.
West Virginia's 3-point attempt rate, 33% in wins, 39% in losses. So if they fall in love with just taking the shot, coming off a screen and taking a 3 instead of putting it on the deck,
100%.
Generally that does not go well. So there's your keys to the game.
Your numbers basically underscore what you perceive and what you think. However, I mean, this is not to discredit your numbers by any stretch, because you came in strong with that they're shooting 31% from 3 on the road.
And in losses.
Here's another variable that you're not going to be sure about. So Jalen Bridges comes back, right? It'll be the last time he plays here at the Coliseum, and he's had a really great career. He really truly has, here and there. And you just don't know what you're going to get. History says you just don't know where you're going to get when you have either an in-state player who went to another school initially or a player who comes back to the Coliseum. I don't have stats on this, but normally it's an extreme. Normally it's either they go below their average or they exceed their averages. There normally isn't a middle. Like right now he's averaging 12-5 in league play. You just got to make sure, if you're West Virginia, that doesn't become 22-7. That's going to be a key in the game as well, because he's a key part of this. But at the same time, they do have 6 players that are averaging double figures.
Yeah, he's done a nice job of broadening his game too. From he used to be just a spot up 3-point shooter. He really does a lot for them. Gets 5 rebounds a game, can pass the ball, a steal per game. So he kind of does a lot for them.
Yeah, he does.
You're right. He's had a really nice career.
Really nice. Yeah, really nice career. So, and again, this is the only regular season encounter between these two teams, unless you were to see them in Kansas City. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, that was very good. Maybe your most comprehensive spreads on stats of the season. Now, you've had a couple of good ones. I mean, that's hard to get to that level, but you've had a couple of good ones.
You think that was the most comprehensive?
Pretty good. I mean, if you just listened there and you took notes as a fan, and then watch the game or listen to the game tomorrow, you'll be able to be like the smartest guy in the room.
Can see what's coming.
Unlike one Three Guys listener who last week was watching the wrong game while it was being played. I don't necessarily know if that gentleman would probably be tuned into these numbers at that level, but I would think the majority of our listeners would be.
I give him credit for staying with the game.
So
Exciting to watch. It was a game the Mountaineers are winning. He was into it.
Hey, listen to that fella. If that happens again Saturday and you're watching West Virginia and Baylor, you'll notice that they're different players on the West Virginia team because that will be last year's game. Just an FYI. Just an FYI. Women's basketball.
Big one.
You know what I spent a ton of time on Wednesday night doing? Got caught. Got caught. I got home. I was going to do work. I was going to work on charts and stuff like that. And sitting there, and Iowa State was playing Kansas State women's basketball.
It's a good game.
Good game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness. You talk about a game. It was superb.
Yeah.
It was superb.
That's two good teams.
Double overtime,
Mm-hmm.
chess match, back and forth. Basically, man, came down to
A little chippy at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. You had two bigs for each team. I mean, old school, post up, get the ball on the block, going to put it over my right shoulder, hook shot. Kansas State's really good.
Very good. Well, they were number 2 in the country at one
I
point this year.
understand. They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good. But that was a game. But anyway, I didn't do any work that night because the doggone thing went double overtime. I looked at the clock and said, okay, now I'm out. And I'm not doing anything.
Iowa State won that.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
They did. Two really good coaches, two really good teams.
Well,
Yeah.
you can say the same thing about the game coming up Saturday. Two really good coaches,
Yes.
two really good teams. 18-6 Oklahoma taking on 21-3 West Virginia. 12-1 are the Sooners in league play. West Virginia 10-3. It's interesting. The defensive rating there for Oklahoma is really so. When I look at the stuff that I use, there's green for good, red for not so good.
Yeah.
It's almost all green for both of these teams all the way over. The couple points of red that pop up, one of them is Oklahoma's free throw attempt rate. They don't get to the free throw line a whole lot. West Virginia does. So watch that game within the game. Does West Virginia get a favorable whistle? And that's always important given the defensive style that West Virginia plays, right? They're going to be flying around. They're going to be swatting at the ball, swiping at the ball. Want it to be a little bit physical. Let some pushing go on. Let those traps get a little physical. So keep an eye on the officiating style coming up Saturday. But West Virginia generally gets to the line a whole lot more than its opponents do. The flip side, the other thing to watch, offensive rebounding. When Oklahoma misses shots, they're pretty good on the offensive glass, 33% offensive rebound rate, so they rebound 1/3 of their misses. That's not West Virginia's strong suit, as we know. The other part to watch on this, both teams are going to push it and run if they can. West Virginia gets about 16 points a game off its fast break. Oklahoma just over 13. So both those teams are going to want to push pace a little bit. What about threes?
Yeah, threes.
So we know West Virginia likes them. About 19 attempts per game on average. Oklahoma shoots a ton of threes. It's part of why they don't get to the line a lot. 26 per game for Oklahoma from three.
Man, I hope they put a ton of people in there.
1 o'clock start.
1 o'clock start. 1 o'clock start. It'll be great.
Boy, you look at Oklahoma's heat map.
Yeah.
Shooting.
Yeah.
It's like all red. Shoot it well from three. Shoot it well. They get to the rim. Get to the rim a ton. They shoot it well at the rim. 65% at the rim. So this will be a fun one.
So let me ask you a question. We don't play Oklahoma men again. Right?
Right.
So we had a situation there in Norman when they played the country roads, taunt.
Mm-hmm.
Do you maybe try to, can you swing it over even though that was men's and women's? Can you get any revenge, retaliation? Can you do something there?
I don't know. Do you need to?
Just asking. I mean,
You're in your building. You're going to pop country roads on. You win that game.
Well, I mean, maybe you do something else. Maybe you get one of their songs.
Thanks for coming.
I mean, what do they do?
Well, they play that fight song over and over and over and over.
Yeah. Maybe you do something like that.
Right? I just turn up Country Roads, pipe it into their locker room, and say thanks for coming.
Now, you can't play music when the game's going on. That Iowa coach, man, she got mad the other day.
Lisa Bluter got mad at Nebraska.
What's her name?
Bluter.
Yeah.
She
got a little hot.
So she's a former Drake. Was a coach at Drake first. Oklahoma's coach just came from Drake. Well, Drake basketball connection there for you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she was a little hot. Speaking of Iowa basketball, that was a fun. You like women's basketball? That was fun last night in Carver Hawkeye Arena. Caitlin Clark breaks the all-time NCAA scoring record. She went into the game needing 8 points. So you figure she's probably going to want to get it fairly early. Did you have on your bingo card that she was going to get the first 8? 3 for 3, including the record-breaking shot was perfect, right on brand for her from the logo left side in transition. Just banged a 3, started out with 8, put up 23 in the first quarter. Very nearly broke her own record for most points in a quarter. So she went all-time NCAA scoring mark, check. Most points ever in Carver Hawkeye Arena, check. Career high, check. And almost had a record for career points.
Just an absolute...
Oh, and had 14 assists.
Yeah, she did. Just an absolute baller. And we oftentimes talk about great players. The great players want the ball when the pressure is on, when the game is on the line. And then there are a lot that will shy away from that. But the great ones say, give me the flippin' ball. So last night, as you said,
cut your heart out when they
exactly.
have it.
And then the great ones just go like, give it to me. So last night what she did was Jordan-esque.
Yes.
In the sense that you say, Michael Jordan, hey, Michael, you need 8. He go, okay, here, give me the ball. And I'm just going to fire one from West Des Moines to get the record.
Which is where she's from.
Well, yeah, from the old. Did she go to Valley High School where you went?
She did not go where I went. Must have had some NIL deals before NIL deals. She went to a private school there in West Des Moines.
Okay. So
not quite sure how. Maybe the dad don't know how they got there, but maybe.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, the great ones say, "I got it. Give it to me." That to me, besides everything else that she does, that's the part I love the most. Like,
exactly.
Come here.
You talk about red light guys, red light girls. Red light comes on.
Yeah.
So I've told you this story before. I had a friend that played for the Bulls with Michael Jordan during the second. So of his 3 consecutive championships, played during the second title of the first set of 3. If that makes sense.
I get it.
And he talked about traveling with them. Truly was like being with the Beatles or being a rock star. Wherever they would show up, just hordes of people around their bus, in the hotel lobby, everywhere they went with Jordan. And then he just always said Jordan was just so nonplussed by it. It wasn't an issue. Never got freaked out. Never got short with people. It just went about his business. That's my perception of Clark. It's chaos wherever she's gone. He used a graphic the other night on the show of the attendance at all the different games she's been to. Columbus, Rutgers, Maryland.
Rutgers.
I mean, years and decades where they haven't had attendance like they've had when Iowa has played there. And she just doesn't change expression. It was absolute pandemonium last night. Just unfazed.
I know.
Want to need 8? Going to give me the ball 3 times, I'll have the 8.
Yeah. She's a case study in sports performance.
Remarkable.
She's a case study.
Yes.
She should come back next year.
It's a really interesting decision.
She's got to come back.
I don't think she does.
You don't?
No.
Why?
Because she's done what she's done.
But she can't make enough money in the WNBA.
She's going to make more if she comes back to Iowa.
I know.
There's no doubt.
So why wouldn't you do that?
She might. She very well might.
Stay there. Can't make that money anywhere.
Crazy. That's what's interesting about NIL. And quite frankly, she deserves those dollars.
Absolutely.
She has changed.
She's filling the house.
She's changed the sport, not just for the University of Iowa, but yeah, she absolutely should get that money.
Someone made a great point. Her and Angel Reese, right? Maybe the 2 best known college basketball players, man's or women's.
Well, there's no question.
This year?
And listen, Reese has missed some games. She hasn't had the same kind of year that she did at the end of last year. Clark has become the face of college basketball, men's or women's.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
She's the most well-known basketball player in the country right now, men's or women's.
Yeah. The most well-known business systems operator in the state of West Virginia is Comax, and they have been keeping businesses in West Virginia and beyond their data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. They promote and provide remote monitoring of your computer systems. They can come in, Take a look, see, absolutely free to you, tell you where you are safe, tell you where you have potential problems. Is your data susceptible to being, don't say the B word, but I will, breached? No one likes to get that email that says, we've had some situations where your information's been breached. Comax Business Systems will come in and provide the services that you need to keep yourself as safe as possible. It's Comax Business Systems. Visit them at comaxwv.com. Also, digital phone services from 1 line to 1,000 lines. They can come in and give you a free estimate on that as well. Comax Business Systems. 3 Guys also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. I just want to let you know they got a new 3 Guys special.
At Lou Wendell?
Mm-hmm.
Different than what we've been sending. The Tri-Tune, different price?
Well, it's a different one. This is the 2023 Avalon Venture 85 CR 23-footer. Like this thing, I think, I'm not 100% sure. I think it also does your nails. I mean, it can do everything for you. It's a great craft. If you go there onto the website, LouWendellMarineSales.com, you can take a look. And their office hours and business hours are now 8:30 a.m. They start early till 5 o'clock at night.
Well, they should, because spring is coming. Summer's coming. Pontoon season right around the corner.
Spring has sprung. The grass is riz. I wonder where them pretty flowers is. And Sunday from 1 until 5 p.m. So 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Sunday, open from 1 until 5 o'clock, and you can take advantage of all the Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We got a call with them coming up next week.
Excellent.
I'm going to talk with those folks, and I'll have even more information for you. All right, you ready to do this thing? You good?
Hit it.
You're good time-wise, right? You got to know where to go, right?
I'm good.
Okay. It's good. We got to get out of the studio.
I mean, there's another show coming up. I mean, Kercheval's not doing it, of course, but there's another show coming up in that time slot.
Yeah. And the guy that does that show is a good guy. He won't push us out. Like if Kercheval had to do his show and we were sitting in the studio doing this show, he'd be over there right now. He'd have his little can of lip balm. He'd be going crazy on that thing.
Well, he'd have the door cracked and we can see his face through there. Dave that comes on next, he'll be chill.
You guys done yet? You guys done yet? Ah, boy. Hoppy Kercheval. Man, do we miss him.
I do hope he comes back. I hope he gives us like one more show so we can say thanks for all the episodes. You think he'll do that? He'll come back and give at least one?
So what do they do? I don't follow it real close, but what do? They stop the legislative session when he goes away, and then they just resume it when he comes back?
I would assume.
Right.
Yeah.
They just call it off. Okay. I don't follow that. Time now for textual healing. That's the phone number in which you can reach us. 24/7, 365. Textual healing is sponsored by episode800.com. It is a wonderful site that has so many different pieces of information, including all of the merchandise that's available to you. The Efforting t-shirt that I wear today, pullovers, vests, ball caps, corsets, bonnets, anything you need.
Popcorn.
Garage door openers.
Coffee.
Popcorn. Coffee. Daily, it's game day.
Do not have the candle holder / coffee cup for sale, though. You'll have to bring your own for that.
I'm done. I tell you what, my caffeine level pretty good right now.
You also look like Shaq drinking that with your hand. Like it's so small. Is it a shot? It's not even comfortable in your hand. It is too small.
No, it is. It's good. It's like that.
How many times do you have to fill that up, though?
Yeah, but it's good because the heat distribution works really well.
You do multiple of those in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Guy upstairs that runs this place, he drinks Folgers.
Excuse me?
He drinks Folgers. Got his own separate coffee machine. Got like a
Folgers?
Like a Joe DiMaggio from like 1976.
Like one of those Mr. Coffee things?
Like a Mr. Coffee. I opened up one cabinet one day. I don't know where they got it. Sam's or someplace like that. Costco. He got himself an industrial strength amount of Folgers. Like the thing is like a barrel. a barrel of Folgers in there, and I said, I don't want to call him out by name, but I said, George, I said, how do you drink this rat piss?
All due respect.
With all due respect. So one day I brought him
To George and to Folgers, of course.
Yeah. And so I brought him some of ours. I said, here, drink this. And he went,
Well, his palate probably isn't even refined enough to take it.
He goes, this is really good. And I'm thinking, yeah, I know, it's really good, George. Poor buddy. Folgers. Nice commercials, but come on. With all due respect to everyone that drinks Folgers. I'm sorry about that.
And Folgers itself.
Yeah.
Of course.
Guess they're out as a potential sponsor.
Yeah, probably won't get them now.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be the first. Anyway.
Rusty, keep making our coffee, please.
Yeah. So here we go. We have several texts. Last show, someone came in and wrote us a text that said they incorrectly watched the West Virginia-Texas game last Saturday, not knowing that the game they actually were watching was from earlier this year when West Virginia beat them in Morgantown. So this person watches the game and doesn't know until later that night that the game actually was in Austin, and what he was watching was January, and he tells his dad, hey, great game today. West Virginia won. His dad said, what are you, simple? So I suspended him I said, I'm going to issue a 3-game suspension. You're no longer able to watch watch the Mountaineers for 3 games. Brad chastised me and said it was too strong. Now, you, the listener, has your say. Tony, I agree on the 3 games or more suspension. Hard to believe a Mountaineer fan doesn't know the details of our beloved Mountaineers. Next one, Nick from Madison checks in. Regarding the 3-game suspension for listener not knowing the game was a replay of the Texas game in Morgantown instead of the live game in Austin, this season has been so miserable that it is likely better for your mental health to have checked out a bit and be much more of a casual fan right now. Texter, I'd like to officially sentence Tony to his 3-game suspension for chastising the guy for not knowing he was watching the old game. You're being charged with thinking any of us Mountaineer fans are going to give any of those Texans any more money just to watch their own network. Not happening. But in your defense, yes, the fans should have known the world champs were playing in Austin. Yeah, came back on that. Texter, we had 2 big wins this year, Kansas and Texas. If you and your friend didn't know we already beat Texas at home, the suspension needs to be extended to 1 year minimum.
Jeez.
The friend also gets the suspension. Behavior is completely unacceptable and unbecoming of a Mountaineer. Deserves to be haunted by the Mothman. Signed by Jay in Greenbrier County.
A little rough.
Texter.
Not a very supportive group of listeners today.
I like these guys. Texter, in reference to Scopes' 3-game suspension on the listener, the fact that the listener admitted fault to the level 1 violation and played by the rules is grounds for more than a 3-game suspension. Due to the impermissible benefit of watching the Mountaineers win a game already played, 9-game suspension sounds about right. Now, if instead he had denied, and fought the accusations, lied about the whole thing, and of course admitted that he was indeed a Kansas fan, not a Mountaineer fan, only then should he be found not guilty. Appeal denied. That was from Devin in Goshen. He's up Goshen Road exit.
Sure.
Texter, Jeff from Sandyville. 3-game suspension might be a little harsh, but as Grandpa would say, that boy doesn't know the difference between tall timber and brush.
It's a tough group.
I love these guys. I did, and if there were any that that's what they were. I didn't just put all the bad ones out there. That's what they want. People have spoken. Hello, couple of guys. This is Joe Mock. I really enjoyed having our men's and women's teams here in Texas several days ago. A highlight getting to spend time with Coach Kellogg. I'm even more impressed with him now than before. He's a keeper. Following our women's convincing win over TCU while wearing my bright yellow WVU shirt, I was about to depart from Schollmeyer Arena when I walked past about a dozen guys doing cleanup and putting some boxes away. I turned around and yelled, "Hey, guys!" Then with a big grin, I added, "Thanks for having us." One responded with, "Yeah," And thanks for kicking our ass. When a rare opportunity like this presents itself, you have to take advantage of it. Now let's beat the Lady Sooners on Saturday. So Joe got a taunt in.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
One of the best.
Texter, hey, two guys and sometimes Hoppy. What about a St. Patrick's Day popcorn? We're a month away. Plus, what could you do with green popcorn? You don't want popcorn that's minty because that's not savory. That'd be a hard one. What would you do green flavor? You really can't, can you?
Don't know.
You're not going to do basil, spinach,
Broccoli,
asparagus.
oregano. Is oregano green?
Mm-hmm. Can be. When it's still in its full form before it dries out. Ben in Wilmington, North Carolina. Tony, you talking about cutting up a Reese's rabbit with a reciprocating saw, followed by Brad saying, yeah, just like dissecting frogs in school, had me giggling to myself for a good 5 minutes. I couldn't help but imagine a young Brad in science class using power tools to dissect small animals under the direction of his teacher, Mr. Dahmer.
Come on, Ben. Didn't everybody dissect frogs in school?
Now, what do you have? What do we have here? What's this?
Yeah, we got a couple things.
Well, yeah, I can see that. Okay, what are
Loaded up with When are we going to get a Reese's sponsorship on this show? We have done more to drive business to Reese's. Two things. Go ahead.
This one says, saw these in Costco this week. Thought of you guys. I checked on Amazon, but surprisingly, the bag cost more than 2 times the Costco price. You can share with Tony and Hoppy, you guys top drawer, and provide us with some comic relief. All the best. Signed by Charlie from Midlothian, also known as Buddy Holly. As Tony gave me that moniker from my Stonewall Jackson basketball picture in the paper as the free throw leader at that time in the old KVC. Thank you. These are Reese's dipped animal crackers, if you've never had those. Bite-sized animal crackers covered in peanut butter, candy, and dipped in milk chocolate.
Those are good. I've had those before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, those are really good. Thank you, Charlie. We will eat those. That bag will come open soon. Now, this was on the last show. We had a texter text in and show us a picture of these, the Reese's cupcakes.
Yeah.
And I said, I have not seen those. Where are you people shopping? I have not seen any of this stuff. Kyle in Morgantown was nice enough to have that sent to the house.
Kyle brought this over?
Yeah,
I saw him down at the Texas game.
He was at the Texas game.
And he was at your house.
He was at the Texas game, had these sent over. Yeah.
Kyle's got really long arms.
Yeah, you've told him that before.
Broad shoulders and long arms.
Well, Kyle was nice enough to provide those. Now, he left it to my discretion whether I share those or not. I said absolutely not going to share. We'll take them both. Reese cupcakes.
Here's my concern with these. So my dad owned a grocery store. We sold Hostess. So I had Hostess chocolate cupcakes, Hostess snowballs. Remember snowballs?
Did you have ding?
We had
snowballs. No, I didn't like snowballs.
Ho-hos. We had everything, right? And
Yeah.
I would just crush them, walk around the store like a guy like going out for the Last Supper. Here's what
So you didn't have any inventory on that? You could just reach in and grab whatever you wanted?
No, we were a cash business. We were a cash business. We didn't do much inventory.
So if you wanted a big sleeve, or I didn't know they had the big sleeves back then, you just reached in and grabbed one?
Nonstop.
Even the candy and stuff. I mean, I know you could make however many sandwiches you want.
Nonstop. The
Nothing.
only time my dad would
You
ever...
wanted to pop, you just grab one?
I'm not exaggerating. When I was a teenager, I would drink... it makes me go like, ugh, right now. I drank 4 to 5 pops a day. Just walk around and just drink.
Glass bottles back in that day?
Glass bottles.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, glass bottles. But here's what concerns me now as a reformed bad eater. These things, they're in this package. They're cupcakes.
They're cupcakes, yes.
It says best if used by March 25.
Yeah.
They
stay around for a while. Some preservatives in there that probably aren't good for you.
There might be a few elements in here that...
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, Betty
Anyway,
Crocker.
thanks, Charlie and Kyle.
Yeah.
For this week's Reese's contributions.
Texter, recently at a birthday party, my sister-in-law was discussing her gluten-free diet. She explained that Reese's peanut butter cups are gluten-free, but the seasonal-shaped items are not. So if you are on a gluten-free journey, no Reese's eggs, hearts, turkey legs, or Santa boots for you. Also, I vote to uphold the suspension of the confused WVU fan who watched the stale basketball game. This is big boy college basketball, not intramurals, brother. Signed by Stephen and Eleanor.
Good Dan Hawkins line there, Stephen. Well done.
Mm-hmm. Texter. Game. Oh, this is Vinny. Professor Vinny. You know, he was texting so much. I said, Vinny, on sabbatical? He said, no, I'm not on sabbatical. He's a professor in Illinois. I said, if you're not on sabbatical, like, what are you doing? You're texting a lot. Why don't you make it a valuable text? Send us something. You know what he does. He teaches gamification.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And which is like, so really super basic explanation, like any kind of a game card that you might get at like a business. Hey, for example, gamification would be the GoMart rewards card. You use the card, you build up rewards points, you get these rewards points, and you can save on fuel, you can save on your food. That's the gamification type of a thing. That's what he does. So I said, give us some doggone ideas for 3 guys, right? So he sent me like a bunch, and here was one of them. Game number 1 idea. Team Brad versus Team Hoppy versus Team Tony. To participate, listeners, viewers will need to purchase a shirt on episode800.com, pledging their allegiance or support to either Brad, Hoppy, or Tony. The shirts will have printed on them which team they support. Then at the next Food Pavilion tailgate, you'll ask the individuals to wear their shirts. You can count the number of individuals wearing which team. The team or the number of individuals wearing the most of that team's shirts, Brad, Hoppy, or Tony, win a prize, and that individual wins bragging rights. This generates money through T-shirt sales primarily. There's a lot going on there.
There was.
Professor Vinny, I think you're giving us too much credit. We need simple. Like, is it green or red? It's green. You win. And when you said, is that how you do it, Brad?
It needs to be simple.
Yeah. You're a winner.
I appreciate the thought.
Yeah. Texter from Willie G in Elkview. Next year's Valentine's Day episode800.com bestseller. This window sticker at Harding's Family Restaurant off of Exit 1 in Mink Shoals on I-79. There it is. Watch for deer. Well, there's been a lot of people that have spoken at that restaurant, Harding's, through the years.
Big stop on the tour.
Big stop. They bring those guys down there. They pass the hat. Once they pass the hat around. Hey, here's for coming down and speaking. I think some guys walk out of there like $62,000, $63,000,
give or take,
for a night and change.
Mm-hmm.
Texter, I think you'd remember my daughter Casey. She worked for the MAC along with her future husband John Matsko.
Mm-hmm.
They got married, took a job with Arkansas at their foundation. They had these 2 little beauties, Isla and Sailor, who are being raised as Mountaineer fans. Look at those
Good
cuties.
picture. Yeah.
Well, John has accepted a position with the University of Cincinnati.
Heard that.
So that cut 11 hours off that drive down to Arkansas. Thought you'd like to know of another West Virginia connection. Yeah, we know John.
Yeah,
so he's
great.
at Cincinnati now raising money.
I worked with both John and Casey when they were here.
Now, his dad, longtime NFL assistant coach,
Mm-hmm.
defensive line coach. Texter, during Brad's spreads on stats, it almost sounds like he's saying N-guarded shots. I can't unhear it. Did this become a fencing podcast on guard shots?
Is that a fencing term? You were a big fencer at one time.
Thank you. Yeah, I think he's saying on guard. Just teasing, of course. Anyway, at this point in the season, I'm thinking that what do they got to lose? If there's a fencing club on campus, bring them in, run some fencing drills. Can't hurt nothing. Signed by Steve Notkale. And thank you for bringing up my fencing.
Yeah, you're elite.
Won the class championship.
Sure.
How did I do it? What was my move?
The rope-a-dope.
Rope-a-dope the dude.
Wasn't there a dispute on your grade in that class, though?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Almost kept you from graduating.
Close. So I transferred. When I went in the portal, that was a pass-fail class.
Now, that was at the JUCO you were at.
It was not a junior college. It's considered by many to be the hidden Harvard of New York State. SUNY at Geneseo.
That's where you took the fencing class,
Mm-hmm.
not at the esteemed Syracuse.
Mm-mm. So at Syracuse, when they brought me in there my last semester said, you got a little issue here. I said, what's the issue?
Hold
They
on
said,
one second. When did they bring you in? How late in the semester was this?
It
Late?
had already started. Second semester had already started. They said, we're showing 119 hours here, not 120. And I went like, excuse me? They said, yeah, this pass failed. You got to have a number. You have a grade. So this is pre-cell phone and everything. Like I frantically go like, I can't stay here anymore. I have to go. I got work to do. I got to get to West Virginia and start my life. And so they said, well, if you call, I've told this story before. If you call the school and get the professor, the guy's name was Fred Bright.
Impressed you knew that.
Yeah, and I said,
More impressed
they need to
now.
know what letter grade I would have got. Well, obviously, he said, hey, I won the championship.
He remembered you then.
Yeah, well, sure. Not many 6'4" fencers out there that rope-a-dope.
They used a rope-a-dope to win the league title.
So he said, no, and so that was 120.
So that's all he had to do? He just had to say, hey, I would have been an A, that's it?
Yeah.
That was the process?
Hell, it was a fencing class. Texter. I wanted to check in regarding the 3-guy suspension Tony levied on Mike in Martinsburg. I think this suspension is totally warranted. As a matter of fact, I think you went a little light on the sentence. In addition to his 3-game suspension, he should be barred from attending any Mountaineer game for an entire year, as well as having to go to either a Pitt or a Marshall game, his choice, wearing that school's colors. Maybe then he will take his fandom more serious. I think that type of punishment is warranted for his total and blatant violation of fandom. Signed by P1Z in Delaware. Last one here, Gary from Beckley goes, I can say my TC fan meter just pegged listening to Tony's reference to a Jake break. From Hankies to a Jake break, 3 guys has it all. That could be a shirt. That could be it. That could be a new shirt. Hankies to Jake break. We got you. We got you. All right. Very good. So, Baylor, Oklahoma, doubleheader. We'll talk some baseball as well. By the time we record on Monday, the Mountaineers will have played 3 of their first 4. And UCF next week. Tuesday tilt. Be nice to get those guys back, wouldn't it?
Oh,
They just beat us around.
Oh,
punched us, kicked sand in our face. Be nice to get that one.
would be nice to get that one.
Be nice to get any of them.
Nice to have a little 3-point variance Saturday with those Bears coming in here.
Yeah, I hope they do shoot that 31. Maybe 28 or 29 would be good.
Take it.
3 Guys has been brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Go for good times. Go for GoMart. Get that rewards card. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. Be a cool pontooner. And by the Conley CPA Group, spreads on stats, providing value beyond the numbers. Thanks so much for being with us. Our producer, Austin Wright. We're back with you on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. And stay well. See y'all.